All right, well, yep.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. LD, we were talking to you about Jetty the other night, but what is the next step in his developmental process?
I think Jetty has shown, he has shown that he has ability, both ends of the floor. I think for him, the next step is just a string of consistency as far as games are concerned. A lot of people seem to forget that he didn't play much last year, and this is kind of this is something new for him, playing consistent minutes, being a starter and playing consistent minutes. I think the next step for him is just to put together strings of consistency as far as games are concerned on both ends, because he's. As of lately, he has really been. I think he's been doing a terrific job. Just in as I said before, he's been allowing the game to come to him. He has been forcing things. He's been allowing it to come to him, taking his time, and defensively, he's taking a challenge at the 4 spot, which is, as I said before, just given what our situation is with bigs, not much of a choice is to play him at 4, but he is certainly taking a challenge. But again, I would just say just putting together, just consistency, just a string of games where he's, where he's played well on both ends of the floor.
Where he is now currently, and how you viewed him coming into the year, would you say he has met expectations, exceeded expectations, been worse than expectations? How would you evaluate?
For me, I would say exceed, and I say that. I say that very, very easily because I saw him last year, and again he was playing. He's playing very sporadic minutes, and at times he wasn't playing at all. And to come into a situation as a starter, and being able to produce the way he has produced, again, I didn't really know what to expect as far as this year was concerned at the very beginning, but we knew that he would be playing minutes and how well he would do. I don't think anybody really knew. We were really hoping, but I would say that he has exceeded expectation as far as his play performance, and I just see him getting better and better.
Steve Herrick from AP. As far as Sunday goes, close game, late situation, and you got through it okay and got a win. Is that something that you're hoping you can build on?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before as far as getting into games where they are close. I would love to be in those situations, a lot more. Certainly we can learn from them. I think those situations give our it gives our team an opportunity to grow, especially when we haven't been in those situations very often. I'm hoping that as we move forward, with the rest of the season, that we would play well enough to where we will put ourselves in that position, and we know how to play out of it.
I imagine it's easier to have teaching moments off a win than losing. Is that?
Well, it's a lot funner teaching after a win than it is losing. I'll tell you that. But we look at every game. We break down every game, and we try to take points from it, good and bad. It's so that our guys can learn, because they're going to get in those situations again, and just hopefully they'll be able to grow from them.
Joe Barton, The Athletic. Wanted to follow up on what Chris was asking first. So with Jetty and his defensive numbers, is we all know they're not good. But how much do you think that is related to just who he's with on the floor overall? Like if you had the team that you started the year with, would he be a better defender? Would his production on that side, his numbers on that side, be better?
I think there's a strong possibility that could be the case. But again, where we have Jetty playing, we have Jetty playing out of position. He's been playing a great deal of the four spot, and in my eyes, he's not a four. Can he match up with some fours? Yeah, he can. But for the most part, night in and night out, that's just not his position, and we're asking a lot of him to play that position. I think by playing him in his natural position and playing him with a healthy ball club, I think it would give him a chance and give us a chance to see where he truly is, defensively. It's a lot different playing that four spot than it is playing that three spot, and so I'm really hoping that once we do get all of our bodies back, we can move him to his original position, and then we'll be able to really gauge that.
And then you've started to play Adele the last couple games. What have you seen from him? What do you like about him?
Well, I love his energy and I love his motor, and to be perfectly honest, I did know a lot about him. I had heard about him, but the way he played in Chicago, particular, the stretch where he came up with the block shot. And it was to me it was just a huge play, and it was a clip that we showed the entire team. Where he got back defensively, he came up with the big block. His momentum actually took him out of bounds, so he was actually he should have been the last guy as far as getting back into the play, but he sprinted the left lane. And put himself in position to get a layup, but they got their hand on it a little bit, but he recovered it, got the ball, threw it out to Jordan at the top of the key, and Jordan hit a 3-point shot. I thought was a huge play. The block, the getting back in, we come up with a 3-point basket, but it's his energy and his motor that I really like. He has shown coming in that he's. He doesn't try to do too much. He just plays. Just kind of lets the game come to him. He doesn't force a lot of things. Defensively, I still want to see him. I want to see him in a more of an aggressive situation. But I really love his energy and his motor.
You said that you didn't know a lot about him when you guys signed him or whatever. Have you found out about him? Did you know anything about his background and where he came from?
Yeah. I mean, for me, anytime we get any of the new guys that come in, certainly you want to know exactly who they are, what they do, how can they help us. I know when he first got here, and just kind of looking at his size, I kind of figured he would play some 2, could play some 3, certain matchups, maybe play some 4. But again, the intriguing thing about him is the kind of energy that he plays with, the motor that he has. He picks up things very quickly, and that's huge too. Guys who come in here on 10-day contracts, they don't have a lot of time to learn this, so they have to learn. They have to pick it up. They have to be able to incorporate it once they get in the game. And like I said, he has shown that.
And then my last one, and it's about him still. He said to me that he knows and he knew that he could play in the NBA. I mean, as somebody who's undrafted, bounced around, and he's young, this is his rookie year, but do you find that kind of attitude surprising, encouraging, like with a young guy who comes from where he came from, that would make that kind of statement that I know I can play in this league?
Great attitude. I think any player that doesn't feel like he can play in this league, you shouldn't be in here. I think you have to have that approach. Whether you're drafted or you're undrafted, you've got to have that approach. If you're trying to make anybody's team, you've got to come into this thing with the attitude that I know I can play in this league. I know I belong in this league, and he is. And watching the way he plays, I mean, he plays like every play is going to be his last play, and that's the way you have to play. That's the approach you have to have. And me personally, I love coaching guys like that, because I know whether you put them in the game for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, they're going to give their all.